Hey, the bar is open, but I'm not at my table. I'm instead here on my exercise bike. You can see my games. This is a great exercise bike for, I started my first TFL video at a park doing exercises, so it's only fitting that I should come back and do some more exercises. For my first Tru.F.Lo.S, I did, So anyway, welcome to the bar, and I'm doing some more exercise. This is Easter time. Bunnies and chicks. The chicks we don't get. The bunnies we do get, don't get. Playboy bunnies retired. And finding your eggs. A lot of female references for Easter, right? So I wanted to show you this. I'm going to tell you something. I retired from comic books. But for this, I got into Injustice. Now, Injustice, of course, is based on the two video games that came out for the PS3, PS Vita, Xbox 360. I think it also came out for the Nintendo Wii U, not the Nintendo Wii. Everybody kind of remembers this. It was basically the Joker killing. Well, basically what he did is he used fear gas on Superman, and Superman thought he was killing Doomsday, ended up killing Lois and his unborn child, and then he killed the Joker, and that started this whole reign of terror kind of thing. This year is later when he actually blows up the city. Not only does he force Superman to kill his wife and child, but Joker blows up the city. This is a really tragic thing. But this is the Domino Event. This is the Domino Event. This is what starts King Superman of the world. It's an appropriate time for the times we're in right now. For me, when I'm reading comic books, it's kind of going back. To me, Easter, yes, Easter is a religious holiday. Easter is a time when you're supposed to think about the birth of Christ, the resurrection of Christ, but I guess, but I'm not religious, so who gives a fuck? If some of you do, fantastic. Sunrise Hoodie is a Christian, so he's always posting. I'm not religious, okay? I just would choose to remain agnostic. I think agnostics have the most power because they can't prove or disprove, but they just choose to believe whatever the fuck they want. But Easter is a time of resurrection, finding a new direction and kind of going back into something again. In this case, it's comic books. And I started getting back into the comics. I originally thought this was a cashless tie-in to the video game, like most comic books would be to movies and stuff, just to make money. But they put some thought into it. Tom Taylor, bless his heart, he put some thought into this. Here's Superman coming into a foreign country, a fictional foreign country based on like Iraq, Iran kind of thing. I'm kind of looking at the history of the Justice Society of America also for fun because it's their 80th anniversary. And it's, like I said, I quit comic books in 2000 and I got back into them. For ourselves, when we are, whether it's dealing with females or just dealing with our loneliness, we have to find a way to get back into something. Now, obviously, I don't do many of these videos because of the fact that we are all quarantined. We are all the same. Not in the liberal left-wing sense, but in the forced, you're fucked, so am I. I'm going to have to not go to Albertsons because of, I think I've explained this in my Metal Men video. Check that out if you can. It's really, really difficult now for anyone to hook up with anybody. Now, of course, that doesn't stop some of you from going on Tinder, going on Zoosk, going on iCupid or Match.com and trying to pick up females. But all you can do is talk to them. I mean, where are you going to hang out? You're going to go to her house? Unless she's a fucking hoe and she's going to go to your house or you go to her house. It's just really hard to do anything right now these days. I mean, lucky to get Wonder Woman, for example, but you don't want Gal Gadot. She's just kind of delusional. But I like her. I like her as Wonder Woman. I can't wait to watch the movie. But it's very difficult at this time for us to just find someone new to be. We always want women to be the excuse. As what is it? Maggie Gyllenhaal's character, as Rachel Dawes would say to Bruce Wayne, let me be your one chance for happiness. I'm not sure where our happiness is, but I find it now in the comic books. Now I'm just checking this out. By the way, if you have a library card, if you have Hoopla or different avenues of virtual libraries, because you can't go to your local library. How the fuck can you? It's all closed. So you go on Hoopla or something like it, and then you can check out this digital for free for 21 days. I think for Hoopla, you can check out to 8 books. So you want to get the larger volumes of year 1, 2, 3, and 4. Year 1 and 4, I think, for Injustice, the DC superheroes, supervillains, Injustice. Um, but yeah, getting back into comic books, getting back into art. I'm getting back into writing again. This is the time of resurrection. This is the Lazarus time for all of us to find what strengthens us. There's another Wonder Woman scene where they're fighting a giant squid. I think this is an Aquaman scene where Aquaman is defying Superman, and Superman's going to put Aquaman in his place with his people of Atlantis in jeopardy. He's like, I own the world. You don't tell me what to do. Superman turns into a real motherfucker. He turns into a real mobster, kind of Al Capone. Nice city you got there, Aquaman. Would be ashamed if something were to happen to it. But anyway, this is really good, though. I mean, Comics Explained has a Cliff's Notes version on YouTube if you don't want to read it, but I encourage you to read this. I really stopped caring about comic books. I did read Harleen, and I read Green Lantern Earth 1. Earth 2, Earth 1 Book 2 is coming out June, hopefully. I do want to get the hardcover version, but I'm starting to get into digital comic books and stuff. But this I say, what have you been doing during this quarantine? Have you been writing? Have you been composing music? Have you been getting into board games, video games? This is all you can do, man. Um, I don't like when some people like Sandman and Sunrise Hoodie um, try to act like things are fine and let's just talk about females. We can't do that. We're in fucking quarantine. What are we supposed to do? The only danger right now that we have is that you're talking to females online and they may mislead you. Okay? That's the only thing I'm going to tell you. The only thing is that females will try to mislead you online. Be wary of those. Other than that, how are you going to go on a date with a female right now? Where are you going to take her? Starbucks? That's closed except for the drive-through. Where are you going to take her? Target? Maybe. I mean, Albertsons, you have to wear a mask. If you two are willing to wear a mask and have a play date at the supermarket, how are you going to do that? I mean, you got to find a female who's like horny and into like supermarkets. That's difficult. Well, I'm showing you different parts of this story. I mean, this story goes on. This particular lasts 5 years in the chronology of this. Then you have the Injustice game plots, and then you have Injustice 2 prequel, and then Injustice 2. And there's two different endings, but I mean, it makes sense for Superman to be locked up anyway. Um, in Batman Beyond, Superman had a uh, different attitude, which was he used the Phantom Zone projector to send everybody to jail. After Lois died, he just sends everybody to the Phantom Zone instead of just delivering them to the police like every good superhero should. But and sent Lex Luthor there too. So that was a whole different solution that Superman had. But yeah, I mean, this is a really great comic book. Um, one of the best I've seen in a long time. Like right next to Star Wars Legacy with Kate Skywalker stories. This is a really good story. Just getting back into things is important. You have to find the things that make you. Oh, by the way, I should show you over there. I don't know if you can see it. If you can see it, but there is. I just tossed it to the side. I'm a disorganized piece of shit, but you can see Cottonelle toilet paper over there. That's a 3-ply, 4 set of 3-ply toilet paper. That's that's some good news. But yeah, here, as even Comics explained, and I'm telling you, this is where um, I think the Damian Wayne Robin kills Dick Grayson Robin Nightwing. Accidentally, he throws a stick at him because he's super strong, and then Dick Grayson dies horribly. So Superman's talking to Catwoman. This is one of those, you know, these are one of these stories within stories. But ultimately, Superman's going to take over, and he's afraid. I mean, Catwoman's afraid for her life that he's going to kill her. But it's more drama between Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent, Kal-El, stuff like this. Yeah, this is one of those rare times I really am getting back into comic books. this is the time now for all of us to find, um, just to find ourselves again. So whatever you got to do, find yourself, um, and keep going with that. Now, what I'm going to plan to do today is after this, I'm going to um, go back into my Metal Men stories and really write those. And then we have one more topic. So we have a last call, and this one is a little more TFL female related, but I wanted to save this last, okay? So this is Tiffany A. Williams, not to be confused with the Olympic hurdles runner Tiffany Williams. Obviously, one is white, one is black, both Americans. But I wanted to kind of put this out here to kind of talk a little bit about females and what it is that we do. Now, I work at a library. I don't right now because of the quarantine, because of this virus. We've lost over 20,000 people. That's six for every 100,000 people in this country, in the United States, which is heartbreaking right now. But when I was doing communications from English to Chinese, Chinese to English communications, we did like a session. We did it like a conversation class. And one of the things I realized was that the moderator, her name is Summer, and Summer is pregnant with her husband's child, and she's going to have the baby, I think, if I'm right, probably around November or October. I think that's when the baby's due. Just my guess. But I thought about this, okay? And do we make fools of ourselves in front of a woman? And I thought about this. And I said to somebody, I said, in order for Summer to be pregnant, in order for Summer to be pregnant with her husband's child, her husband had to make a fool out of her. I mean, not a fool out of, I mean, had to make a fool of himself in front of her. So her husband had to humiliate himself to get her pregnant. We as men, we make fools of ourselves to impress the girl. That's how it always is. Now, 90% of the time, we fuck up, we fail, she gets tired of us. Now, one of the things you cannot be doing, common sense says, do not call her more than once a day. Call her once a week, call her once every 2 weeks. I'm using Tiffany Williams to kind of be like a visual aid here. But if she happens to look like Tiffany, that's great for you. But, sometimes you take what you can get. But remember, do not marry, as I told a few people in the comments sections of my previous videos, do not marry or date somebody out of desperation. Having sex is one thing, having fun is one other thing, but don't be having kids with people you can't stand. And don't get into a marriage with somebody you cannot stand, because you're going to create another TFLer. You're going to create another incel. That's not what you want. But when you do meet someone and when that someone falls for you, I have to believe that you are making a fool out of yourself in order to get her. How do we do that? Do we sing a song? La, 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 do we do exercises? Do we flex our legs? Do we flex our arms? What do we do? Do we flex our brain? Do we impress her with puzzles, with board games, with what is it, Arthur Smullyan's? I think his name is Arthur Smulyan. I don't think he's still alive anymore, but if he is, he's still doing math puzzles. How do we impress her? I have college degrees. Maybe you have college degrees too, or maybe not. But in the end, we all make fools of ourselves to impress the girl. We want to make her laugh. We want to make her smile. You may meet her somewhere. She may be somebody who you work for, but she's not a regular boss, or she's a barista, or she's a bartender, or she's somebody you see every now and then. But then maybe you two exchange emails, maybe phone numbers, but she's not sure if she can take you seriously. And this is sort of a test. It may not be that she's given in to you yet, because she wants to see how you are. She wants to see if you have self-control and you don't call her all the time. The thing is that you have to learn patience, and you have to learn how to approach her. Now, At some point, you're going to have to kind of be like, hey, how's it going? You know, at some point. And she knows this. She knows you have to approach her in that way. But how do you do it? And what do you do? What sacrifices do you make? So if it was somebody, let's say it's somebody that I work for, but I don't see her more than once a year. So she's not technically a real boss, right? And I email her every now and then. Maybe like what you do is you wait for the holidays. You wait for Memorial Day. You wait for her birthday. You wait for your birthday. You wait for Fourth of July Day. You wait for Labor Day or Father's Day or some other day to kind of spread out those times you bug her and see if she gets upset or not. I mean, I have to think that the less you respond to her, the more excited she might be to hear from you. But also, too, it's like you want to try to see if you can meet up with her eventually. Premise being like, okay, you meet up for a special event, community event, but you try to talk to her then, see what's up with her. Maybe if you volunteer, you work somewhere, hey, you want to meet up and do something. You always have to kind of bullshit, and you can never really be too forward. I remember a lot of people in my classes and stuff, oh, yeah, just, hey, let's go do something. Let's go do something. But it's so obvious, right? It's so on the nose. So it's like you want to be careful how you approach her. If you're too much like the pigeon on the street, fluffing his feathers and dancing in circles, then she's probably going to walk away. It's subtlety, but it's all you can do. Right now, the only way you can do this is online. These rules do not apply right now to people who are living with a girl or who are married. You are all excluded from this. It's for people who are trying to meet people right now. And I was thinking about what Dr. Fauci was saying, don't shake hands ever again. Well, that's fucking bullshit. I mean, are you saying ultimately what Dr. Fauci is saying is that we can't fuck ever again? Well, Dr. Fauci may have the best interests of America in hand, but if we live like the planet Krypton in its last years when Jor-El and Lara are wearing black rubber suits and sterilized outfits and they had robots do everything for them, that was what Krypton was like. Krypton was like the coronavirus, where everybody was staying in their own fortresses and they would send robots out to do their work for them and nobody touched anybody because there was a war, there was a Clone Wars. Before the Star Wars Clone Wars, there was a Clone Wars about cloning people and stuff. And it led to big brutal wars and nuclear weapons that ultimately destroyed Krypton. But that was like people were living in coronavirus land. Like, so I mean, like we want to touch each other at some point. We're going to have to be able to human touch each other. Not being creepy about it, but we have to find a way. And just sitting and virtually talking to people, just having this image of a girl is not enough. You want her to be there. You want her to be in front of you. You want to look into her eyes. You want her to look into your eyes. So that's what you're aiming for. But there's a way to do it. It can't be that direct. So that's all I can tell you.